Now, making your first $100 as a trader could actually be easy. Perhaps it could be by luck, but making $100 or more on a daily basis as a trader is much more complicated. Now, I'm going to share this all based on my personal story because I've been trading for 5 years and I've been through all the hurdles of making $10 in a day to making $100 to a point where I've made over $10,000 in a day. Now, listen up, what I'm about to share with you completely works because it has worked for me and thousands of people just like yourself. Now, in the first place, what's even required to make $100 in a day? And that brings us to the first item, and I would say your trading capital. Let's think about it. Well, if you're using less capital, you could potentially make some money, but more often enough may not hit your targets. Let me give a clear example. Say you're trading off with $50 or even 100. With that, you could potentially make $10 or 30, but you won't expect to make $100 or more on a consistent basis. Well, I've seen someone who's going to flip that account. Say you've made 100% of your account. Now, please keep in mind this also applies to someone trading off with 1,000 or even 10,000, and you're looking at making whatever huge amount it is. So it's very, very important that your trading capital is going to play a big role in here. On the other side, I could definitely suggest funded accounts where you're going to get an account, say 10,000 or whatever, that is going to give you bigger targets. But to be honest, I would say if you're trading off with real capital and you're looking at making $100 or more in a day, consider starting off with at least $1,000. Now, I know that might sound pretty huge or big, but let's be real, because at the end of the day, I don't want to promise you stuff, yet we all know what exactly works, okay? So most importantly, your capital is going to definitely determine how much you want to make. Let's get into the system. Now, the very first and most important thing for you as a trader is having a proven winning system. I've seen people who make money by luck, most especially beginner traders. You've probably made $100 or even flipped an account or whatever, but you never think about the beginner's luck. So at the end of the day, someone says, oh, I think my system actually works, so my trading strategy works, but it's much bigger than that. Now, how do you even know that this trading strategy actually works? First things first, you need to test it out. Now, you could have probably learned from Vidollar or some other YouTube mentor or something, but at the end of the day, you need to test it out to see if it does work for you, and we do that by backtesting. Do that as many times as possible to see what exactly works and find an edge. Having had a winning strategy, what comes up next? Well, next up is, what are you going to be trading? Now, I don't want you to be like the majority of traders who come into trading with literally no bigger picture. You don't know what exactly to do. Imagine you started off a business because, say, person A has a business and you do not even have a clear structure. Well, to be honest, you won't last even longer. And by God's luck, if you stayed in, you probably finally step out. So I do apply the same in trading. Well, now you've had a winning trading strategy. What's next? You need to be very, very clear with what you're going to be trading. Now, I would say for beginner traders, keep your watch list to the smallest. Now, I've mentioned this as many times as possible because I know it does work. Now, previously, I did a challenge where I was trying to trade on an account of $100, and I mentioned I'm only going to be trading 4 pairs. Well, why? Because 20 pairs, 10 pairs, that's a lot of confusion. Actually, there's a trading strategy that I've been making a bit of research on, why you trade 1 pair in 1 session on 1 time frame. At the end of the day, if you can scale it down to the smallest, then the better. Now, for a beginner trader, I would recommend major pairs. Focus on those and get as good as much as possible, because at the end of the day, practice makes perfect, and that's no secret. Now, part of your trading strategy has to be much more specific with when to trade and actually even the time frames. Now, I've had a lot of traders ask me the same question. When am I supposed to have my entries? Or in the first place, can I even trade late night? But because I'm a trader, I could potentially make some money. And in actual sense, you're going to have a trade consolidating for hours, putting you on a test and not even making any money at the end of the day. Now, I want you to find the best trading sessions that suit your trading style and stick to those. Well, I would say the London and the New York session, because those are like the most traded sessions and definitely a bigger chance to find better trades, as we shall even talk about that in the next few minutes. Now, time frames, well, pretty much easy. I think that does apply much to your strategy. I would say personally, I'll always start off with bigger time frames, could be the H4, the H1, and finally smaller time frames for entries. Whether you do scalping, day trading, or even and swing trading, smaller time frames are the best for entries. Well, why? Because you have the bigger picture. Now think about it. Say you're trading and you just placed an entry on the daily, or say on the H4. Literally doesn't even make any sense. So smaller time frames will be the best for your entries. Now keep in mind, it doesn't matter. You may not even trade every day, but at least when you make the money, it's much more consistent. And that brings us to finding the best trading setups. So it's very, very important that you focus on the best setups as much as possible. I mean, on the other side, think about it. If you're taking trades for the sake of trading, you'll probably end up over trading. I do remember back in the day 2020 when I started trading, I would literally take like 10 trades for the sake of trading. And guess what? I probably made my target, say $50 for a day. And not until the account is gone, I won't stop. But I've come to understand that, okay, listen up, one good setup per day is actually good. Let me give an example. Currently, I only trade once in a day. And sometimes if I want to find a setup, I won't even trade. And that's how much simple it is now. Now that brings us to the next important step. Keep it simple. Actually, again, I've learned this along the way. Back in the day, I would use moving averages, RSI, to be honest, a bunch of indicators. At the moment, I'll get off the charts, draw my levels, highs and lows, look out for key levels where the price has reacted and all that, and just wait. So at the end of the day, it's not about complicating things, but keeping it simple and clean. Now, the next important step on your journey of making $100 per day is risk management. Trading with no risk management is gambling. What does that mean? Well, it means you could potentially make the money today and you won't even make anything or lose everything the next day. Why? Because you can't manage your risk. And let's think about it. I mean, you're looking at making money consistently. Well, then it's key. So what's risk management? Well, this is basically how you tend to manage your money as a trader. How much money do you want to risk on a single trade? And on the other side, how much money do you want to make in return? And that's pretty much easy. We have what we call the stop loss and take profit levels. Basically in here, you know how much you're going to risk on a single trade. Let's give an example. Say I'm trading off with $1,000. I could say I'm going to risk $50 on a single trade, looking at making 100. If you can bring that in numbers, you are basically risking 1 to make 2. Now, if you can picture this out, that means if say you took 10 trades with 1 to 2 risk to reward, meaning you're risking 1 to make 2 on the other trade. At the end of the day, you're going to be profitable even in the long run. And to be honest, risk management is key. Again, I'll quickly relate this with how I used to trade. Well, I've been in a situation where I was able to grow an account from about $18 to about $800. I would say that was by luck, or I actually knew what to do, but I was just bad at risk management. And yeah, guess what? Later blew it up that same day. Now you can imagine such a thing. So at the end of the day, risk management wins. Now we do have a fundamental rule in trading where you can only risk 1 to 2%, which is a bit tricky for small accounts. I'll actually go ahead and attach a link to a Forex trading calculator where you can easily be able to do all those calculations so you know how much to risk on a single trade. Bringing us to the next and most important step, keeping the money. No one ever talks about this. Everyone talks about how to make this much, but how do you keep the money after the trade? Now, I want you to understand this. Making money on your trading platform could be easy, but keeping that money and understanding that, oh, I'm actually consistent, I'm profitable in the long run is difficult. And here's what I recommend. So I'll always take on withdrawals. I've seen traders who make money because, I mean, that money is on your MT5 or whatever. People don't even think about how big that is. You've made $100 in a day, but not until you withdraw that money out of your trading account, then you still have everything on stake. And there's a possibility of going back trading and potentially losing what you made. So always do withdrawals. On the other side, if you want to do compounding, which we can actually discuss in a much detailed video soon, you can think of withdrawing 50% and leaving 50% in your trading account. But at the end of the day, stay paid, okay? I don't want you to make the money and lose it the next day. Everything that I've shared in this video is from my personal experience, going from that guy losing money to making $10, $100 till this point, okay? Now remember, I mentioned you need a winning trading strategy, and for that I've actually done a video on my trading strategy that I've been using for the last 3 years. Now to watch that, just click the video over here. We are keeping it less talk and more action. Basically that means you're doing less of the talking and more of the action. I mean, you've watched this video, you've learned. All I want from you is to now put everything that you've learned into practice. Down in the description, I do have a link that is going to take you to the free Telegram channel of about 90,000 traders just like yourself. And that means you have an exclusive community that you're going to be part of. If you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe and like the video. And I'll see you in the next one. Let's go. Cheers.